Thank you, everyone, for joining us for London Health Sciences Centre Community Update Meeting. It's our second meeting of 2025. But before we begin today, I'd like to turn things over to Dr. Christy McDonald, who's our Emergency Services Department, for a land acknowledgement. Dr. McDonald.
You're on mute, Christy.
There, that will work better. Victoria University and Children's Hospitals are situated on the traditional territories of the Anishinaabe, Haudenosaunee, Luna-Wenpuak, and Chinanton nations, on lands connected with the London Township and Sombre Treaties of 1796 and the Dish with One Spoon Covenant Wampum. The three Indigenous nations that are neighbours to London are the Chippewas of the Thames First Nation, Oneida Nation of the Thames, and the Munsee Delaware Nation, who all continue to live as sovereign nations with individual and unique languages, cultures, and customs. As a physician, I reflect over my years of practice and recognize that inequity in access to healthcare for our Indigenous patients is prevalent. Our ability to provide care that embeds core values and beliefs has been limited. As I continue on my journey of understanding, this is my first step toward reconciliation. I recognize that I can do better as an individual and also have the ability to influence a healthcare team to ensure the provision of compassionate care as we reconcile our past. Back to you, David.
Thank you, Christy. And I have a special guest here with me today. He's my nephew, Blake. Blake is, I found out that he is one of our avid listeners to the program, and to a point that Blake memorizes a lot of the presentations that are made here at the community update meeting. So Blake, you want to introduce yourself?
Yes.
Do you want to say hello?
Hello.
You enjoy being here?
Enjoy being here.
All right. Thanks, buddy. All right. So thank you, everybody, for attending today. And as stated, this is our 5th community update meeting. These sessions serve as a platform to keep you informed about what's happening within our organization. We share updates on new initiatives and outline the steps we're taking to deliver on our promise of excellent care. These meetings are live streamed through our website and social media channels, and a recording is also made available afterwards. As shared previously, we will continue this format for our new LHSC board meetings when we renew the board later this year. This month, our meeting will once again be available for replay on Rogers TV London. So whether you're joining us live or catching a replay, we want to make it as easy as possible for everyone to take part. As always, we're here to listen and respond to your questions. You can reach out at any time by emailing me directly at the office of the supervisor at lhsc.on.ca or by texting me or calling me at 519-870-2999. So first, I want to kick off today's meeting by providing an update on the Community Advisory Committee team surveys, where they did surveys for the community and also the LHS team. So last month, I shared that our surveys had closed and we received over 4,000 responses from community and our team members. So following the analysis, we've delivered a report of the survey results to the Community Advisory Committee for their review. Looking forward, the CAC members will now meet in March to dive deeper into the results and discuss recommendations for LHSC based on the findings. We're committed to keeping everyone updated, so a report of our findings will also be shared with Team LHSC and the broader community in the weeks that follow. We truly appreciate everyone taking time to provide us with feedback and look forward to continuing this important work together. I also want to update you on how we're working to keep our staff, physicians, patients, and visitors safe at LHSC. We recently announced that we will be installing new screening technology at the entrances of our Victoria, Children's, and University Hospitals emergency departments. Just so happens the machines actually physically arrived today. These machines, unlike traditional metal detectors, is a non-intrusive way for people can walk into without having to slow down, without having to take out personal items, So unlike a traditional metal detector, you don't have to empty your pockets, you don't have to take off your belts, etc. This technology is already being successfully used in places like the Mayo Clinic. And I've also experienced the technology firsthand when I was in Windsor at Windsor Regional Hospital. They have had the technology up and running for some 18 months. The machines are physically here, but now we have to do some training. So we're putting the machines in a couple locations at each campus, and we're going to have frontline staff and security do training over the next few weeks before we put them up and running. We plan on having a media conference the day before they go live so we can show the media the technology and how it works, and also having some staff townhouses that they can see the technology and seeing how it works. But just to give you an idea of the technology, is since Windsor Regional started the technology, they've had over 600,000 people go through the detectors. No guns have been identified since November of 2023. However, 4,700 items were identified. 2,700 of them were knives. Now, the good thing about this is the number of detections has gone down. So when they first started to install them in November of 2023, they were getting approximately 17 knives and other threats. 9 of the 17 were knives on a daily basis on the two machines. That has gone down now to 6, and 4 of which are knives. So it went from 9 knives a day to 4 knives a day, overall 17 items to a total of 6 items a day. That was always contemplated in the sense that word of mouth would get out, just like going through an airport or somewhere else, is that you don't need to bring these items to an emergency department. If you're coming to the emergency department, leave it at home, leave it in your vehicle, and that's what people have done. So stay tuned. Again, we had promised this is going to be weeks or months for install, not years. So they already physically are on site, but we got to do some training, and we'll give plenty of notice over the next few months with respect to when they're up and running. Also want to celebrate that this month we are celebrating Black History Month at LHSC. And today I'm proud to highlight the work we're doing to honor Black history and culture and reflect on how we can further advance Black health equity and tackle racism in our healthcare system. I want to start by focusing on LHSC's participation in the Western University's Black Leaders University Experience Program, an initiative that empowers Black student leaders through mentorship and development opportunities. Through this program, LHSC is currently hosting 3 outstanding students as some of our newest members on the team LHSC. We have Gabrielle, Nuvacor, and Forbeen have been working on important projects and bring equity, diversity, and inclusion to the forefront of healthcare. These include incorporating equity, diversity, and inclusion principles into the Ontario Lung Cancer Screening Program, educating healthcare providers on how to locate pressure injuries on patients with darker skin tones, and organizing programs and initiatives to address disparities in Black health. Their work is already making a meaningful impact, and we're proud to have them on our team. So throughout February, we have also been celebrating Black History Month by hosting a variety of engaging activities to honor the significant contributions of Black Canadians to healthcare and society. These included a cultural lunch at University Hospital last Thursday, where Yaya's Kitchen served a traditional menu with dishes from a variety of African countries. The same day, we hosted Black History Month vendor fair at the Victoria Hospital. These events will be repeated at alternative sites on Feb 24, where you can check out Black History Month vendor fair at University Hospital and a cultural lunch from Yaya's Kitchen at Victoria Hospital. All proceeds from the lunch will support the WEAN Community Center. These events are open to patients and families, so I encourage you to check them out moving forward. One more item I want to highlight here is, bear with me, is Great Moments. And Great Moments, as you probably know, we started back in November, and it's been an amazing reaction to it. To date, there's been over 441 submissions recognizing over 780 individuals. each showcase the remarkable acts of care, innovation, support that our team members deliver. This is a program where individuals, visitors, patients, fellow staff members can recognize the outstanding work that staff members here at LHSC do on a daily basis. I'm so proud of the impact that this program is having, and I want to thank everyone who has helped us recognize our amazing team members. It's truly a great way for individuals to be recognized. And I encourage you to recognize one of our team members using the QR code that's on the screen. Now I have the privilege of introducing our next presenters, who are senior administrative and physician leaders at LHSC. They're going to be sharing information on various programs and services at LHSC and how we're working to enhance patient care. I'll now hand it over to Deborah Wiseman, who's our corporate nursing executive, and Dr. Christy McDonald, again, our emergency services department head and interim vice chair, medical advisory committee, to start things off.
Thanks, David and Blake. Welcome to the team today. Thanks for listening to our sessions. Want to go to the next slide, please? Today, I want to highlight for you, we continue to be in respiratory surge. That is certainly local, provincial, and it is impacting us in the number of respiratory cases that are coming in that require admissions. The high volumes presenting they're not unexpected and certainly not unique to LHSC, but are providing challenges for teams as we work to manage the needs of our community. Since 2019, LHSC has been funded and has operationalized approximately 50 additional acute care adult beds. Those include 5 additional mental health beds. And in addition, just this respiratory season alone, an additional 26 temporary acute care beds as well. It is important for me to highlight that while LHSC is a tertiary center, which means we are responsive and responsible for care, special care, and elevated acute care for our region, we also support 87% of our local population that uses us as their community hospital center. That is a uniquity in our province, and we are very proud and available here to support you and your teams, you and your family members. So thank you for your patience and your tolerance as we work through this surge, and we appreciate our teams doing everything they can with the additional beds opening to work to support your care needs. Next slide. As part of our Black health strategy, we are focusing on sickle cell disease. This is an inherited blood disorder. It does run higher in incidence in those with Black health needs in our population. The sickle cell itself, the picture on the side that you see on the screen here, our normal red blood cells are circular, they're smooth, they move easily through our vessels, don't usually cause us any trouble. With individuals who are afflicted by this inherited sickle cell disease, the cells can sometimes become sickle or crescent moon shaped. They can become a bit sticky, they can move through the vessels a little slower, and can cause slowness and difficulty within the vessels. That can lead to things like anemia, often extreme pain, swelling in the extremities. Frequency of infections is higher. And so wanting to focus on opportunities for those who experience this particular disease and the processes attached to this disease, LHSC, working with Ontario Health's Black Health Recovery Plan, has implemented and/or is implementing the quality standards for the sickle cell disease process. This is going to enable us to improve our health outcomes. It's going to enable us to have a better focus and improvement on our emergency department visits, and certainly going to improve our capacity for being able to communicate opportunities both internally to our staff as well as to our community on what we have available, inclusive of the sickle cell clinic and other education opportunities. So thank you to the teams who are working on this important implementation, and we look forward to the improved outcomes that we expect to see. I'm going to hand it over to Dr. McDonald for updates on important cancer advancements. Over to you, Christy.
Great, thanks very much, Deborah. Although not a content expert on this one, I'm very pleased to share this groundbreaking work from our clinician researchers and clinician scientists at the Verspeten Cancer Care Center and LHSCRI. Dr. Bauman and Dr. Nguyen and their teams have completed a phase 1 trial looking at the safety of stereotactic ablative radiotherapy for patients with cancer that has spread to 10 different sites within their bodies. In their study, 13 patients received 5 doses of this stereotactic ablative radiotherapy for their cancer and at their distant sites. This was found to be very safe and very well tolerated. The impact of this is significant for patients. Patient outcomes show that this treatment can lengthen the time until a new cancer appears and can potentially lengthen lifespan. A phase 2 trial has begun to determine the upper limits of radiation and the outcomes associated with that, with the intent of the hopefulness of extending life for these patients with cancer to different stages and at different stages in different areas of their body. So wonderful work happening through our cancer center. With that, we'll move forward to Kathy Vandersloot, Dr. Dave Nagpal, and Dr. John Basmaji from the Transplantation and Donation work here at LHSC.
Thank you very much, Christy and Deborah. Good afternoon, everyone. I'm Kathy Vandersloot, and I am really proud to showcase a really important program at University Hospital, London Health Sciences Centre, and we're going to be talking about transplantation and donation. And there's a special connection through to our community and region that you're going to hear about. I'm joined by Dr. Dave Nagpal, who is our surgical co-director of our transplant program, as well as a cardiac surgeon himself, and Dr. John Basmaji, who is a preeminent hospital donor physician here at LHSC. I do want to just say that our multi-organ transplant program is celebrating its 38th birthday this summer. Truly proud, and you're going to hear, I'm not going to give it away, but you're going to hear an important milestone that was celebrated just recently that occurred over the holiday period. So I hope you enjoy this presentation, and with that, I'll turn it over to Dr. Nagpal. Thank you.
Kathy, thank you very much. Next slide, please. On behalf of myself, Dr. Lashman, my medical co-director, all of our administrative and medical leads, all of the staff who are doing the work, all of the researchers, most importantly, the patients and the donor families, I'm happy to present our transplant program to you today. First of all, the milestone that Kathy mentioned was we're very happy to announce that we've done 7,000 transplants at LHSC. That includes more than 3,500 kidneys, almost 2,500 livers, over 800 heart transplants, pancreas transplants, and a number of other transplants. First of all, what is transplantation? If we take a step back and recognize that there are many organ problems that people might have which are not treatable by medications, by devices, or by surgeries, these people may die with no other option. Transplantation offers people the opportunity to live with a donor organ. And this truly is a second chance at life made possible due to the generous gift of an organ donor. Now, as you can see on the screen here, we've had a number of transplantations. Next slide, please. But not only are we looking at the 7,000 plus patients who have benefited, lived longer, improved quality of life with these life-saving surgeries and transplant, we've also been able to lead Canada and the world with a number of firsts. It should be mentioned that London has a long, illustrious history of transplantation, being the first Canadian centre using cyclosporin. This immunosuppressive drug was an absolute game changer. Now, London Health Sciences Centre had been involved with transplantation for years, more than a decade prior to cyclosporin. But cyclosporin was the game changer, which allowed us to really flourish as a program due to the visionary leadership of Dr. Cal Stiller and others at the time. So we've done the world's first liver and bowel transplant, Canada's first heart-lung transplant with the longest most number of heart transplants in Canada. The first multi-organ transplant, as you see here, liver, small bowel, stomach, pancreas, Canada's first living liver donation. We are involved with many teaching initiatives, from high school curricula all the way to putting the finishing touches on our physicians and surgeons who do transplantation. And finally, very importantly, we are also recognized nationally and internationally for the research and QI projects that we do, which ultimately improved patient outcomes all over the world. Next slide. A couple of things that we can touch upon here in the next 2 minutes. There have been many advances in transplantation and donation, many of which London Health Sciences Centre is honored and sort of highlighted as pushing forward. One particular one that we can talk about here is a new technique that could lead to more organs being transplantable. Dr. Anton Scarrow and team were the first team in Canada to use a technology that allows recirculation in the donor's body, excluding any circulation to the brain, to resuscitate or to assess organs in situ in the donor body. The promise here is that not only will potentially more organs be transplantable, but also the quality may be improved, and there's some data already supporting that. On the organ donor awareness side, one of our pioneering liver transplant surgeons, Dr. Wall, has actually put together a children's book, very well written. It's a great read for those of you who have not seen this book. Please Google it. Well, there are many other advances and initiatives that we are doing in London Health Sciences Centre for transplantation. One of the key aspects of transplantation is actually donation. So let me pass the microphone over to Dr. John Basmaji, who has a large role in organ donation locally and at the provincial level. John?
Thanks, Dr. Nagpal. Next slide. So organ and tissue donation, broadly speaking, is the process of giving organs and tissues to help people in need. And these donations actually save lives and transform the health and quality of life for many, many individuals who are on the waiting list. There's broadly two types of donation. One is living donation, where a healthy person can donate a kidney or part of their liver to someone in need. The body functions normally without one kidney, and the liver regenerates. So this is a safe and life-saving option, one pathway. The other pathway is deceased donation, which occurs when someone passes away, usually due to catastrophic illness. And in that setting, multiple organs and tissue can be donated to improve and save many lives. What can be donated? Well, there's lots of organs like the heart, kidneys, liver, lungs, pancreas, and small intestine. But there's also tissue, things like, the parts of the eye, bone, skin, and heart valves that are crucial for, life-saving surgeries that improve health and quality of life. Does donation make a difference? Absolutely. One donor has the potential to save up to 80 people through both organ and tissue donation. And so every donor has a lasting impact and can leave a very lasting legacy. Next slide. One common assumption that people make is that they assume that they're too old or unhealthy to donate, which is in most cases not true at all. The easiest surefire way to become an organ and tissue donor is to go to beadonor.ca to officially sign up. The process is incredibly easy. It takes no more than 30 seconds to do, and it's immediate, and it leaves a lasting impact for many people. For patients with end-stage organ failure, transplant is often the only definitive treatment. And so by signing up to be an organ donor, you can give hope to thousands of people waiting on the transplant waiting list. And ultimately, the only way for these patients on the transplant waiting list that often die waiting for an organ, the only way to save their life is through organ donation. And like we mentioned, organs aren't the only thing you can donate. Tissue donation can help burn victims, give sight back to people with visual disabilities, and help people walk again through joint donations and whatnot. Next slide. So, being at LHSC, I'm incredibly proud of our legacy and our culture here. LHSC plays truly a pivotal role in organ donation through various clinical programs, research efforts, and commitment to education and awareness. In fact, if you look at the statistics, we consistently rank #1 in the province for the number of organ donors across the hospitals. And it's really thanks to the generosity of the donors, we actually save nearly 100 lives every year. We have become international leaders in research through some of our initiatives like NRP that Dr. Nagpal talked about. We've also created novel educational initiatives in organ donation through a multidisciplinary simulation sessions. And we often are really, really engaged in training healthcare professionals and raising public awareness. We're very successful because we've got a strong culture of donation, because we have a strong legacy of being the first institution to embark on many transplant initiatives. We've also have hospital staff that provide expert and high quality care throughout the donation process, and really, really strong ties within our community, both with respect to hospitals and community partners. To close, transplants only happen because of donors, and donation only happens when someone says yes. And all of us can make a difference and save a life by registering on beadonor.ca. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Dr. Nagpal, Dr. Basmaji. And also, I just want to close in saying thank you again. As Dr. Basmaji said, we really are successful because of you. Thank you so much for everything that you do in order to make these gifts of life possible. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to my colleague Tammy and Lauren from our Patient Flow Department. Thank you.
Thanks, Kathy and Dr. Nagpal and Dr. Basmaji, and thank you everyone for tuning in. Today, Lauren and I have the pleasure of providing an overview of a team at LHSC that kind of works in the background, but they play an incredibly important and critical role in ensuring that you and your loved ones receive the care that you need when you come to LHSC. So we're going to be talking about our patient flow department, which is essentially the team that helps ensure that patients are admitted to the right place for the specialized care that they need, that they're discharged when ready to receive less acute care or less specialized care in a setting that is best for them. I'm also pleased to be joined today by Lynanne Mason from Huron-Perth Healthcare Alliance. Lynanne works closely with us in partnership here at LHSC. Next slide. So while you might think of London Health Sciences Centre as your local hospital, you might not know that we're actually one of the biggest hospitals in Canada. So we have over 1,100 beds. We take care of over 1 million people each year. And in fact, most of those patients are outpatients. But we do admit about 45,000 patients every year. Average length of stay is about 6 days, but depending on the type of care you need, how much help you need from us, you may stay a day or two, for example, when people come here to give birth, or you might stay longer. So, for example, if you were in a serious car accident. Unlike some smaller hospitals, we have many different types of beds, including some very highly specialized beds. You just heard about some of them in our transplant unit. But it also includes things like our critical care trauma unit and our cardiac unit. Next slide. I know Deborah already spoke to this a little bit, but it bears repeating, particularly as we're in the surge of our respiratory season. We have been expanding with the addition of more care spaces for our patients, both on the adult acute care side and on the mental health side. Really important work, particularly as we see high demands during our respiratory season from things like COVID and RSV, cold, flu. We're currently at the peak of that season right now. I know Deborah mentioned that earlier. And during that time, we do open some temporary beds to make sure that we're continuing to care for people and continuing to do the surgeries that that all of our community needs. So this year, for example, we've opened 26 additional beds that we will close once the respiratory season ends. But right now, we are absolutely using those beds. I think Deborah mentioned we have this sort of unique place here in London where the vast majority of people in our community do receive their care. That is different from other big academic centers where perhaps there's another community hospital nearby where they receive care. But here in London, we're a little unique that way. Next slide. So our number of beds, while very important, are just sort of one part of our story. We receive patient admissions, referrals, and transfers from any number of places, including from your family doctor and nurse practitioner clinics, by ambulance, from our regional hospital partners, and from our own emergency department and the urgent care clinic at our partners with St. Joseph's. Ensuring that every patient receives the care that they need and that's in the right place for them requires what we call our patient flow team. Next slide. Essentially, this team keeps track of and manages all of the ins and outs for our 1,100 inpatient beds, making sure that we're getting patients to the right bed at the right time. But unlike the air traffic controllers that you see in this picture, which is how we think of them, there isn't a college training program or university training program that we can look to when we hire people to work within our department. But there's most definitely a skill set that we need. From our clerical staff to our capacity managers. First and foremost, our staff really need to be expert communicators. They also have to be expert problem solvers, as you can only imagine trying to manage the ins and outs of our complex organization. They're managing multiple competing priorities. They make sure that when you are scheduled for surgery, for example, we have a bed for you just as you're coming out of the recovery room. I'm now going to hand it over to Lauren to tell you a little bit more about the team that she takes care of and works with. Lauren?
Thanks so much, Tammy. The goal of our team is to make sure we are getting patients who need a hospital stay into the bed that is right for them. There are many moving parts in just a day, from figuring out who is going home and getting their room cleaned and ready, to ensuring that there are enough staff to provide the care. We also manage emergency calls from all around the region and province for those seeking specialized care services in our hospital. Our team members are masters at overseeing this highly complex series of changes that happen in one day. On average, we discharge and admit over 100 patients per day. And yes, Friday is still the day of the week we see the most discharges on. On a minute-to-minute basis, we are monitoring the flow of patients and making adjustments to ensure everyone is safely cared for, including working with clinical and physician leaders and our colleagues in infection prevention and control. Next slide. Partnership is at the heart of our work, and we couldn't care for you and your loved ones if we didn't work as a system across our region. Because of the specialized care we offer here at LHSC, we care for many patients who live outside of London, as far as Windsor and Sarnia, and up to Tobermory and beyond for some specialized services. When patients come to us for this specialty care, we work to get them transferred back to their home hospitals and their loved ones as soon as they no longer need our specialized services. This benefits the patient by bringing them closer to home and their families while ensuring we have capacity to care for those who need a higher level of acute or specialized care. To tell you more about the importance of this partnership, I'm going to turn things over to one of our many partners from the region, Lynn-Ann Mason, Vice President of Partnerships and Chief Nursing Executive at Huron-Perth Healthcare Alliance.
Hi, everybody, and thank you so much, Lauren and Tammy, and thank you to everyone for having me here today on behalf of the Huron-Perth Healthcare Alliance. We are just one of the many partners of LHSC. For those unfamiliar with us, we are a collective of 4 hospitals providing acute and community care in the region. We have Clinton Public Hospital, St. Mary's Memorial Hospital, Seaforth Community Hospital, and the Stratford General Hospital. We work very closely with LHSC and other hospitals to care for patients in the region and ensure they're receiving care in the best place for them. Collaboration between hospitals is important for a number of reasons. First, it allows us to provide care close to home, where patients are surrounded by their loved ones and close to those follow-up community services they need as arrangements are made for discharge home. Working together, our teams conduct daily reviews of patients who are ready to return to their home hospitals, ensuring the appropriate care is available and arranging a bed for that transfer as soon as possible. Our team here at HPHA is in constant communication with LHSC to discuss care needs, adjust plans of care if required, and plan for transfers with both LHSC physicians and the receiving hospital physicians. Community hospitals like HPHA do have a lot of expertise and do provide an abundance of specialty services. However, should a patient require enhanced specialty care that is not provided on site, there is a close connection and a wonderful collaboration between the sending hospitals and LHSC when a transfer needs to occur. It is crucial to support LHSC in having this capacity. We also have standard emergency medicine services protocols to ensure paramedics are bringing patients to the right place whenever able. All hospitals involved in patient transfers always keep the patient's needs at the center of decisions we make, ensuring current patients get the care they need, and that we have capacity to be prepared for those within our communities who may also need our care. We all play a part to ensure local capacity close to home, but also support higher level specialized care capacity at LHSC so they are available for all of our communities. I'll now pass things back to Lauren.
Thanks, Lynanne. We are so appreciative of the collaboration and partnerships we have with HPHA and hospitals across our region. Lynanne and Tammy both touched briefly on the importance of receiving care in the best setting for you. And there often comes a time when that best setting is your own home. One of the promises we make to you is that we are doing everything we can to get you safely home. We support patients and caregivers to return home, which allows caregivers to contribute to care delivery in partnership with service providers, creating opportunities for better health outcomes. We also collaborate with our Ontario Health at Home partners, as well as community support services to ensure the proper supports are in place to return home. This can be things like PSW and nursing support after you go home from LHSC. And finally, we focus on collaborative discharge planning that is patient-centered and ensures that all services and supports in the community are explored and exhausted before considering a different level of care, like a retirement or nursing home. There are amazing programs supported by provincial funding that allow patients to go home with lots of support. Next slide. So we've talked a lot about patient flow and the work our team does. However, we haven't yet touched upon the most important person in your care team, you. You also play an important role in your care, your decisions, and your transition home. This starts with discussing a plan for your discharge with your care team. Your care teams communicate to you and your family your estimated date of discharge within 24 hours of your admission. This helps you prepare for your upcoming discharge so you can arrange a ride home, book a transportation company if you need some assistance getting back home, and ensure that you have any equipment you require after discharge delivered to your home prior to arrival. Our team is here to support you in discharge planning and achieving your recovery goals. Next slide. I've had the privilege of working here for 13 years, first as a registered nurse and then moving into leadership. I'm not only proud, but confident that my loved ones and yours will be cared for by an amazing team of experts who put patients at the center of everything that we do. Thank you. I'll now turn things back to Tammy for another update.
Thanks so much, Lauren, and thanks, Lynanne, for your partnership. I also have the privilege of being the Regional Vice President for the Southwest Regional Cancer Program, and I wanted to let you know about an upcoming event in our region. It's actually taking place in Stratford, where Lynanne is. The voices of our patients are really, really important as we work to continue to provide high-quality cancer care across the region. So we wanted to let you know about this upcoming patient education symposium. Next slide. So if you are a cancer patient or a caregiver or family member of a cancer patient and you're interested in lending your voice to help shape the future of cancer education here in the Southwest, we would love to have you join us for our patient education symposium. It's on Saturday, April 5th from 9:30 to 3:30 at Grayson Mills in Stratford. You'll have the opportunity to share your experiences, perhaps some insights so that we can improve cancer patient education. You'll have an opportunity to engage with some of our healthcare partners as well as other patients and caregivers in a really supportive environment. We will give you lunch and snacks and refreshments. And as I mentioned, the symposium is open to all cancer patients, family members, and caregivers in the region. It's hosted by the Southwest Regional Cancer Program. As you may know, the Southwest Regional Cancer Program takes care of supporting cancer care across the entire Southwest. You can learn more and register for the symposium on Eventbrite or by using the QR code that you see here on the screen. And we would love to see you come out. I'm now going to turn it over to our next presenters, Tanya Testa, LHSC's Vice President, Communications and Community Patient and Client Engagement, and Karen Connors, LHSC's Director of Patient Experience and Volunteer Service. Over to you guys.
Thanks, Tammy and Lauren and Linan very much. I'm so pleased to be joined by my colleague, Karen Connors. We are here today to talk a little bit about volunteer services. And before I hand it over to her, while it's not Volunteer Appreciation Week until the end of April, we're so thrilled to talk to you a little bit about how critically important volunteers are to our operations here at LHSC and how much they really impact our patients, their care, as well as their families. So while they're here, so happy to pass it over to Karen to tell us a little bit more about their role and how you might be able to get involved yourself. Karen, over to you.
Thank you, Tanya. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a real honor to be here to talk about our wonderful volunteers, and I want to take this opportunity to thank all of our volunteers who some of may be watching today. And I also want to thank our staff in volunteer services, really incredible people to work with. Next slide, please. So welcome to our volunteer services. And we know that volunteers are an incredibly important resource for our healthcare community. They act as community ambassadors, speaking proudly and positively about their valued contributions to LHSC. Their time commitment and caring helps to ensure that our hospital is able to provide quality care for our community. And our volunteers put patients and families first and are really well positioned to help deliver high quality and consistent and a caring patient experience. Next slide, please. So who are our volunteers? Well, they are a varied group of people. Many volunteers have come to support the organization because they've received care themselves or their family members have received care, and it's a way that they want to give back. They're also often future healthcare providers, people who are participating in healthcare programs in the London area and want to get exposed to what it's like to be within a healthcare setting. They are also often retired LHSC employees, and many healthcare employees come to their work because they want to care about people and make a difference, and in retirement, they want to continue to do that gift. We also have partnerships with many community partners. Our London Health Science Auxiliary, who's just recently celebrated 100 years of service. We also have partnerships with St. John's Ambulance in terms of pet therapy, the Phoenix Canine Initiative, the Look Good, Feel Better program, the Transplant Ambassador program, Campfire and Campfire Circle. And as well, our volunteers are people just like some of you who are listening today who just are interested in giving back to your hospital in your area. So they are community members. Next slide, please. There are 65 different volunteer roles at LHSC. So there is an opportunity that can often fit for people who have a variety of skill sets and things that they wish to contribute back. We have 5 retail gifts shops that are within our organization, and they are run by our auxiliary. We also, through the Verspeten Family Cancer Center, have many volunteers who assist patients and help with patient flow. And at Children's Hospital, volunteers engage with children in various activities. Many of our volunteers are also taking part in a variety of activities within our inpatient areas. Next slide, please. And as well, we have volunteers stationed in our outpatient clinics, helping with patient flow and greeting patients. We have a peer support program that offers in-person or virtual one-to-one support for cancer patients, families, and caregivers, connecting them with trained volunteers who have had similar experiences. And again, our volunteers often are in our waiting rooms, helping to liaison between family members and the staff. And volunteers assist enormously with wayfinding throughout our campuses and our buildings. Next slide. So what are some of the ways that we volunteered? Well, we have 564 volunteers who supported LHSC throughout 2024. They contributed over 43,000 hours, and we welcomed 220 new volunteers in 2024. Next slide. We also helped support patients of the First Family Cancer Program by loaning 350 wigs and 647 turbans to cancer patients from our wig and turban boutique. We had 742 patients who enjoyed patient entertainment from our loaner tablet program, and our volunteers delivered 1,849 e-cards to patients in the hospital. And our wayfinding volunteers had 131,483 encounters, helping people to find their way throughout our buildings and getting them to their appointments on time. Next slide. So what's the impact of volunteering? Well, I think our patients, our staff, and our volunteers say it better than anyone else can. One of our patients said, "We are so grateful for the medical care we received at LHSC. But what the volunteers do for patients and families is equally important and appreciated." And our volunteers do a fabulous job. They are very patient and so kind to everyone. They know all the ins and outs of how we run. It's so fantastic to have a kind group of people. They are good friends. And that was said by LHSC staff. And the volunteers said, "I'm very comfortable in the hospital environment, and volunteering adds structure to my week. I feel like I'm part of the team. As volunteers, we are navigators, facilitators, supporters, and reassurers." Next slide, please. So why volunteer at LHSC? I won't go through each of the bullets, but I think one of the things to know is that when you come here to volunteer, you are truly a valued member. People often report a great sense of fulfillment, satisfaction, and personal growth, and satisfaction in the safe and meaningful assignments that they're given. We also commit to making sure you're fully orientated and trained and receive guidance and support and direction throughout your volunteer experience. We protect your privacy and confidentiality, and we know that our volunteers are also trained to protect the privacy and confidentiality of our patients. Next slide. Our volunteers have an important voice. They are a big part of our LHSC family, and we have an advisory council that works with volunteer services to help bring that voice to life. And so through our volunteer advisory, we listen to the experiences of volunteers, and then we also look at how we can make changes to enhance volunteer experience and help support really good performance excellence in volunteers services. Next slide, please. And how do you become a volunteer? Well, for high school students, 16 plus, you can volunteer in our summer program. We also have post-secondary students who are placed year-round. There is an application on our website, and you can also scan the QR code on this slide that will take you to our website and provide this additional information. 18 and over volunteers, we have a process of onboarding that includes a criminal records and judicial matters check and a health review form that we support in having done as part of your onboarding. Next slide, please. Our volunteers are successful through effective communication and teamwork. We make sure that when you're assigned to an area that you have a staff member who's your contact person to help support if you have any questions. We see how flexible, adaptable, and empathetic our volunteers are. And we really ask that they commit to reliable attendance. And, you know, it's impressive how our volunteers make sure that they're here for their shifts and letting us know when there's an issue and they can't make it. People are asked to also commit to a 6-month commitment with the exception of the summer program. Next slide. Our commitment is also, we want to create a safe and healthy and inclusive environment. And our goal in volunteer service is to have volunteers that actually reflect the diversity and equity in our community. So if you are interested in becoming a volunteer, please reach out, and we will happily provide you with additional information that helps support you in making that transition to being a volunteer. Next slide, please. So if you have any questions, our email address is there, volunteer_services@lhsc.on.ca, and the QR code for our volunteer services webpage. It really has proven to be a fantastic experience for me as a director to be part of volunteer services. And I have met some amazing, amazing volunteers during the time that I've been doing that. So I would welcome you, if you have the capacity and the ability to give back, to reach out and see if maybe a volunteer experience at LHSC is a good fit for you. Thank you. I'll turn it back to Tanya.
Thanks, Karen, very much. I can only imagine we're going to be inundated with folks who want to be a volunteer at LHSC, and I'm thrilled to hear it. Thanks so much. I'm happy to pass it back over to David for closing remarks.
Thank you, Tanya and Karen. So yeah, hopefully I am confident people will see a couple volunteer efforts as number one, how easy it is to sign up to consent for organ donation and how important a role that plays. Be a donor.ca, and then also to sign up, be a volunteer at LHSC. They play such an integral role in helping patients and visitors navigate the system. One of the issues talk about at orientation is how, in general, coming to a hospital is a stressful situation. And the volunteers do such a great job in navigating individuals who come in, who are looking where to go. It's a complex place, generally a lot of stress. Volunteers are mostly former patients or current patients of LHSC and can really help navigate one through the system. So cannot thank our volunteers enough. And thank you, Tanya and Karen, for focusing on that. So before we close today, I want to remind everyone that we have a web form available for you to submit questions to be answered in these meetings, in the description on the YouTube page and on the community update meetings page of our website. We also have a QR code up on the screen for you to scan, and it'll take you to the form to submit questions. Now, just a reminder, as we cannot speak to specific patient cases through this web form due to privacy issues. However, you can always reach out to our patient relations, as Tanya and Karen indicated, at any time for these types of individualized questions by emailing patient relations with an S, all one word, at lhsc.on.ca, or by calling 519-685-8500 at extension 58230. Again, 519-685-8500 at extension 58230. We don't have any questions to answer today, but please don't hesitate to send them for our next meeting. So that brings us to the conclusion of this meeting, and I want to thank you everyone for tuning in. I hope you're finding these meetings very valuable. Our next community update meeting is going to take place at March 19th at 12 noon, and we hope to see you there. To our media partners, please join us for our media scrum, and we look forward to addressing any questions they might have for us. So I hope everyone enjoys their day and have a great day. Take care and see you in March.